I would be thinking about you as I was recovering.
Yeah, that's what I, that's
Here, there's app library and widgets on your home screen.
Talking on, like, I know you said when you were at your first job in Connecticut, like you was unsure about going to that funeral site and taking that assignment, and you eventually just turned away. Like, can you give like any advice to like any young photographers or photojournalists that could be put in a position? Like, what can they do to be, I guess, better equipped and be ready to keep their, I guess, let me see, I'm looking for the words for this. Like, just be better equipped for the situation if they go into something similar to what you went into, or if they're faced with a challenge of questioning their own ethics. What's your advice to them?
Um, my advice to them would be to try to have some confidence in what you believe and kind of understand what you believe and where you stand on things, and also to be able to articulate that. I don't think I was very good at that, at articulating things. Again, and it comes from me being an observer and not much of a talker.
Mm-hmm.
I was never practiced in trying to say what I meant or what I felt, because nobody ever really asked. And so, again, it took a long time to learn how to articulate the way I felt about pictures or the way I felt about assignments. So I think that for anybody in whatever career, I think that that's an important skill, to where you can describe how you feel about something and be able to articulate an argument that is respectful and effective. So had I been able to say going into that job interview, I don't think it's really appropriate for you to be sending somebody from out of town to this particular assignment. Maybe there's something else I could do that could show you some of my skill set. I should have said that. I didn't know I could have said that or how to say that. So I think having some confidence and practicing those things and knowing where your own values are. But sometimes you got to be also careful about that, knowing that if your values don't mesh with that particular employer, you need to know that ahead of time so that you know how to stand up to that, or to walk away from it. Might be where you need. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't have choices. We don't have a lot of choices. But walking away from something may mean that you don't have a job.
Mm. And that could be a dire consequence, because you
Yeah.
can just lose out on your whole entire job altogether.
Yeah. So being articulate, I think, in what you believe and in what you're trying to accomplish is pretty helpful. I've found that over the years, what I learned was that the best argument is going to win, and knowing how to kind of play the game a little bit. And I'm not talking about being argumentative. I mean, being convincing. I had a lot of city editors that were assigning me things, and they were only assigning me things just to fill the paper. They didn't give a crap what I was doing. They just knew they needed a picture for A1 or B1 or B3 or whatever. And they were just sending me out to go fill that task. Once I realized that they didn't care anything about what I was doing other than giving them a picture, I realized that I had more power than I thought. And what I would do is I would go find my own pictures that I thought had value to them, and I would give it to them for their B1 or their A1. And they were happy as a clam.
They didn't even know what they wanted. They just wanted a picture.
They just need a picture.
Yeah.
So once I realized that I could do my job and theirs at the same time, instead of making them do something I thought was dumb. And then I could tell them, it'd probably be better if I did this other thing, and I can still let you do your, it'll be for B1, but I think this is better. And they're like, okay, if you think so.
So another thing is something that you touched on today in class that I want to get to, and something you could like just tell people about, is persistency. I know with you being a photographer and a photojournalist, you've been able to take like just pictures of things and of people that usually you wouldn't get access to or be able to take pictures of. Like, how important is persistency when it comes to being able to get in that right room or in that right position to take some of these pictures?
Oh man, it is so important that having that kind of, I think that most great journalists have this level of tenacity that just doesn't let go. They can't let go of an idea, can't let go of a thought. and they will just hammer away until they get at it. And I think that the best photographers are like that too. And they have a vision for a particular picture that is hard to get to. Assuming it's worthwhile, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to get access to that picture. I can't tell you how many of my best pictures were really, frankly, easy to take. They're just at the most basic level. Get it in focus, get your exposure right and be there. F8 and be there is the classic term. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but the old school term for photographers was F8 and be there. And F8 is a designation for an aperture, which means that if you're shooting at F8 in your lens, everything is in focus. So they're basically saying, just show up. Just show up and have your settings right and everything's in focus. That's what matters more than anything, F8 and be there. So taking the pictures are oftentimes the easy part. It's just the getting access and being there at the right time that is incredibly difficult. And the more time you spend thinking about that and hammering away at that, then I think the more successful you're going to be at some of those more successful pictures, the more meaningful pictures, the more emotional and intimate pictures. I learned this a long time ago too, that if you are doing, let's see, I was thinking about natural disasters. Because that's something we have to cover a lot that's fairly sensitive. And, people are at their worst at a natural disaster. But I found that getting inside of people's houses made for the best pictures and the most meaningful pictures during a natural disaster. And so you basically had to approach people and explain what you wanted to do and then try to, earn their trust so that you could hang out with them inside and outside of their house. And then, once you have that access, you get far more interesting pictures that way, whether they're, cleaning the water out of their basement or carrying boxes out or something like that. So that's another kind of real world example of trying to get access that way.